pleasure and singular honor today, this afternoon, to welcome you to our Positive Vibes Community Youth Club, where today we've got a special guest. We're going to be doing a career spotlight guidance. But before we go into our guests, just to remind you that Positive Vibes Youth Club is a club based in the northwest of England, in Bolton. We strive to unlock value, to celebrate our young people, and every week we do different programs, discuss topical issues ranging from mental health, promoting good citizenry, physical health, just to be able to help develop young and well-rounded young people. So today, to kick off this season, we've got none other than Dr. Rutendo just to speak about a career guidance. So today, this is just a nice, relaxed interview where she's going to be sharing nuggets, insights into a career. So it also tallies very well with our theme, which is to celebrate Black excellence, Black talent, and just celebrate who we are. So without further ado, let me welcome live online Dr. Rutendo. Welcome, Doc. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm very well. How are you?
Thank you. And how are you? How are you coping? How are you finding things in these times that we are living in?
I'm actually doing quite all right. It's been a year now since the pandemic started. So it's taken a lot of getting used to, but I think we've found our feet and, we're doing what we have to do. But yeah, I'm absolutely fine. Thank you.
Thank you. I've started with the end, and we'll go deeper into that about the current situation. But maybe for the benefit of our viewers who have just logged on just now, who are you? Who is Rutendo?
Okay. So my name is Rutendo Ganyani. I'm a medical doctor. I work in Coventry and Warwickshire area. I graduated about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago now, from Warwick University. And at the moment I'm working in psychiatry. So I know a few of you would have watched my videos a few weeks ago where I was saying I'm working within care of the elderly, and I was, but I've now rotated and I'm working within psychiatry in patients, which is quite interesting. So that's me.
All right. So I'm just trying to picture you. You are at primary school, and your teacher comes up in front and say, Rutendo, what do you want to do for a career, for a living? Do you remember what you said back then? What did you want to do?
So this question, I've answered this question in various ways throughout my life. I've always been a little bit undecided. But at some point, I wanted to be an air hostess. At some point, I wanted to do air traffic control. At some point, I wanted to be a pilot. And at some point, I wanted to do actuarial science. I've always, I've had varied interests throughout life, but I finally settled on doing medicine, and I can't imagine myself doing anything different now.
All right. So, at what point were you starting to get to get the satisfaction, to get the idea that this is your calling? At what age were you?
Yeah, I would have been probably around sort of 17, because when I started my A levels, I started off doing maths, physics, and geography, because at that time I still wanted to do piloting. But a few weeks into my A levels, I thought, you know what, I'm really restricting myself by doing geography. And so I went to my principal and I had a chat with him, and I said, please, I need to change my selection of subjects. And he had to call in my parents, and we had to sit down and have this whole debate about, whether I should be allowed to change my subject selection or not. But in the end, I went on to choose sort of maths, physics, and chemistry. And that opened the doors a bit more for me in terms of what I could do. But I think it was around about that time that I started thinking maybe something apart from piloting would be great for me. And I started building the idea of being a doctor then.
All right. So you're 17 here, and you're almost certain that you're gonna be a doctor. Let me just take you back a little bit. So at that time, was this idea was marinating? Was there any influences? Did you have a relative or anybody that drew you close to the profession that inspired you?
Do you know what? I actually didn't. Like, I haven't got any people in my immediate family that work within healthcare at all, or within the sciences field. I come from a family of business-minded people. So actually, I was self-motivated in a way. This was my own path that I found on my own. I have watched a lot of TV growing up, and Grey's Anatomy, I would say, was a big influence in me deciding what I wanted to do. But I mean, underneath all of that, I've always been a person who's very compassionate and very caring. I want to help other people, and I think that was a big driving force to me deciding to be a doctor. But there wasn't anyone in my life that I can say, in my family particularly, this is the person that I was inspiring to, that I was aspiring to be like, because I didn't have that.
All right, all right. So I'm gonna take you back when you went to the principal's office. What did he say, and what happened after that?
Well, first of all, I had some conversations with the chemistry teacher, and I said, I'm thinking of dropping geography and taking chemistry. What do you think? How do you think that would be okay for me? You know me from, like O levels and things. Do you think I would succeed? And he said to me, oh, you know what, Rutendo, it's a bit late. Like, it's been about 4 weeks, 5 weeks now since you started your A levels. It's a bit late to start wanting to make this jump. But if that's what you want to do, you need to just have the conversations with the right people and see what they say. And I told my mom, but my mom's always known that I'm this person who sort of, it was a bit undecided. So I guess that wasn't unexpected for her, that I came up saying, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to change. But the principal was supportive. They thought, well, if you're going to put in the work and catch up with all your fellow classmates, then that's fine. Go ahead and do that. So after a few weeks, I did change from geography to chemistry. And to be honest, I didn't have any trouble at all catching up or, sort of learning the things that I'd missed out on. So I think it was just meant to be honest.
All right. So the groundwork was already in place, and the foundations to your career were starting to be laid. And were you confident at all with your academic performances? Were you almost certain, or you had a backup plan?
I didn't have a backup plan, to be honest. I'm that sort of a person that if I want something, I will work hard, and most times I will get it because I put in the work that I need to. So when I was doing my studies, I was doing well, and I carried on working harder and harder, and I was doing better and better. So I knew I was going to get good grades. And so I never had a second sort of a plan B when I applied for university. I just applied for medicine, and that was that. I will start by telling you, though, that I did a year of medical school in Zimbabwe before coming to the UK. So that's where I started. But when I eventually came here, I ended up doing biomedical science for 3 years, not because I didn't have the grades for medicine. In fact, partly because I did physics rather than biology, and I don't regret that at all. Physics was absolutely amazing, loved it. But, and also I just couldn't afford to go into medical school at the time that I came to the UK. So I took a little bit of a detour in my career, if you want to call it that, or in my education. But when I applied to the University of Zimbabwe for medicine, I didn't have a plan B. I just applied for medicine, and it was either that or nothing, really.
All right, all right. Wow, amazing. There is obviously perception versus reality. At that time, you are young. You are saying the world is your oyster. What sort of dream did you have? If you can answer it from a 17-year-ago perspective, what was going through your mind at that time?
At that time, to be honest, because I was so full of energy with very little responsibilities, in my mind, I wanted to be that surgeon, the neurosurgeon on Grey's Anatomy. So if any of you have watched it, you will know Derek Shepherd, going ahead, cutting into people's brains and things. That's the person that I wanted to be, the person who saves lives, who changes people's destiny. Like I wanted to be that. And yeah, my reality is very, very different.
So at that time, was it the salary? Was it the uniform? Was it was purely based on Grey's Anatomy and you didn't care anything about what followed after?
I mean, in Zimbabwe, right, being a doctor is different from what it's like here. It's a very respectable profession. When I was growing up, doctors had good money. So there were a lot of influences. It wasn't just wanting to be that Grey's Anatomy surgeon. It was also wanting a comfortable life, wanting a respectable profession. And I went to a school in high school that was very academic, and a lot of people there did really well. So it was normal, to go down the medical route or to go down engineering route or to go down actuarial science. So it was like the norm. It was the acceptable thing. It's what people did. So I think that also, sort of built me in a way, because I wouldn't have thought of much outside of the options that were familiar to the people that I was around. So
I see. Thank you. In case you have just joined us and watching on our channel, this is the Positive Vibes Community Youth Club. We are streaming live, and today we've got Dr. Rutendo Ganyani based in Coventry. So at that time, I know the world has since moved on and we are in the first world, things have changed. Did being a female at that time when you were doing your application, did that intimidate you in any way? Did you, was there so much inspiration around in terms of the female representation?
To be quite honest, I've never seen being a female as something that, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, brilliant. I think maybe in the way I was raised or the schools that I went to, there was never a time in my life where I felt that being a female would deter me from, sort of reaching my goals. It was never anything that crossed my mind. I knew the knowledge that I had, the skills that I had, I knew my grades, I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew I could achieve it. And literally that was it. Nothing about being female sort of played in my thinking or determined, or had an impact on how I planned out my career or planned out my life at that time.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, one other thing I wanted to ask. So suppose you're a career guidance advisor and you're advising a young lady who wants to join the medical field. What are maybe the 3 main qualities they need to possess?
A female. I think
girl child or boy child? Let's go for it.
Okay, the 3 main things, I guess, first of all, you need to have the grades. So you need to be a person who is comfortable with the sciences. You need to be someone who enjoys your biology, your chemistry, your physics, or whatever it is. And it needs to be something that you're good at. People are different. I did terribly in accounting. It just wasn't for me, maths and accounting, they're both number-based, but accounting, I just couldn't, it just wasn't for me, when yet maths was fine. I had no problem with that. So I think you need to possess the skills that will help you to flourish within that, within the career. So you need to be comfortable with your maths, science, chemistry, and things like that. I think the other thing is you need to be self-motivated. Particularly in the UK, because they're developing new ways of teaching in medical school. So you'll find, like, if you're researching on this, there's schools that teach traditionally, and then there are problem-based teaching courses. I went to a course where it was problem-based, and so you're not being spoon-fed information. You have to go out and look for it yourself. You have to study for yourself. So, and you have to pace yourself as well. Know what you need to cover. Know what you what you've got from your lessons and where your gaps are. So you have to be self-motivated, self-driven. You don't need somebody to come and tell you, oh, it's time to study, Rutendo. I knew that myself, that it's time to study. I can't be watching a movie right now, so you need that. The third skill, you need to be patient and long-suffering.
Yeah.
Because the course is long, and even when you've finished your course and you've graduated, the learning doesn't stop. In fact, it's only just starting. There's more and more exams to do. There's more and more reading. So you have to be that person who's long suffering, who's ready for the long haul.
Wow. I can just imagine. So if you are in it for the money, you want a quick buck, medicine may not be for you, unfortunately.
Not. It's definitely not for you. If you want quick money, it's not for you. You will get money, but it takes a while to get there.
Yeah. Just to sidetrack a bit, I've always seen the way doctors write their prescriptions, and they sort of scribble like Egyptian hieroglyphics. What's the idea? Why can you not use simple English?
I think part of the issue is just handwriting. It's not hieroglyphic. It's just people just not taking their time to write properly. I mean, it is a pressured career. You're always running behind time. You're always late, and so the quicker you write, the quicker the patient sort of moves on, and the easier it is. So I think that's part of the problem. But having said that, within medicine we use a lot of, I think it's Latin. There's a lot of influence, a lot of Latin influence in the things that we write. So for example, in the morning we say mane, or in the evening is nocte. So it's just, I don't know, it's a whole language. You just have to, I don't know, it's just how it is.
I can imagine. Right, we've got a comment here from Emmanuel Muzi. Welcome to our guests who are streaming with us live. The question is, thanks, Rutendo. Can you elaborate on funding or sponsorship opportunities for those who want to become doctors?
Okay. The unfortunate truth is that there isn't a lot of sponsorship or funding. And now I'm talking from an international student point of view. If you are a home student, I guess there's provisions within that, like, your grants and your bursaries and whatever, or student loans. But for international students, because I was one, I know that quite well, there's definitely very, very little funding, if any. There's no sponsorship, there's nothing. You really have to pay your way through university. And it's not cheap. If you're a home student, of course, it's similar to other people at the 9,000 a year. But for home students, it can be anything around sort of 30,000 a year. So it is a lot. And it's something that you do need to think about before you start the course. Can I actually afford to pay my way through this? Unfortunately, in the UK, there really isn't much in the way of funding or sponsorship at all.
All right, okay. But I'm sure with the wages later on, you may be able to pay it back. It sort of balances itself out. But it's a huge investment. I don't want to lie. One other thing we strive to do on this platform is not to sugarcoat anything and give people a 360-degree view of things. So I just want to take you back to your time when you were in university, when you were studying. Can you think of a situation or a time when you failed or you felt like quitting, and how did you overcome?
Failed. To be honest, no, I didn't. I didn't fail anything all the way through university. What I will say, though, what I found very, very disappointing is the one thing I did fail was one of my final OSCE stations. So this like a little mini practical exam. And I'll raise my hands and say I really didn't know much about the subject they were asking me because I just hadn't read it. I just hadn't. So this was the one station that I went into where I walked out thinking, that was terrible, and I failed that, and even the results came back and I'd failed that station. And for me, I found that very, very discouraging, because I was the highest in my class. I was at Warwick Uni, and had I passed that exam, then wow. Okay, I wasn't highest. I then ended up being, I think, third highest or second highest, because I failed that one station. So for me, that was very, very disappointing, very discouraging. But I think I'm very blessed that my mom she's a rock for me. She just helped me to look at the bigger picture, to say, actually, you've passed all your exams. Yes, you've still got a prize. You're still graduating. Yes, you failed one station, but it's really not the end of the world. Outside of that, I didn't fail any other courses or anything, so I would lie if I said I did. Did I ever feel discouraged? No, because I knew what I was working for. I knew what I wanted to achieve, and along the way, I don't think I felt any discouragement at all, to be honest. I enjoyed medical school. I enjoyed my experience of it.
All right. Oh, thank
feel
you.
discouraged as a doctor, though, but that's a different story.
I can imagine. Right, we've got Leo Kaluza here. Thanks, Leo is joining us from Milton Keynes. Thanks for the inspiration. Is there an area of medicine you'd like to specialize in, if at all you'd like to specialize?
Okay, so for quite a few years, I know I said earlier in when I was 17 or whatever, I wanted to do neurosurgery. But once I had grown a bit more and had a bit more experiences, I wanted to be a gynecologist. So that's obstetrics and gynecology, women's health. And a part of me still wants to do that. But as you grow older and as you experience the realities of being a doctor, sometimes you have to change or alter your path for something that's a bit more suitable for the season that you're in. So at the moment, I am actually training to be a GP. I started my training 2 weeks ago. That's my specialty training, which I started 2 weeks ago. But had you asked me a year or 2 years ago, I would have said that I wanted to be a gynecologist, and a part of me still does. But at the moment, this is the route that I'm taking.
All right. So obviously it goes without saying that medicine is all about helping people. Are there any fundamental issues that still draw you to whilst there's the money side to things, bills to pay and a career, but are there other fundamental issues that you still clamor for that you still want to add value? Not that you are not adding value at the moment, but
as in other things outside of medicine that I want to
yes
to do. Is that the question? Well, yes. I mean, I am the youth leader in my church. So I'm quite passionate about that. And obviously it doesn't have a lot to do with health, but it's all about inspiring younger people and helping them to be the best version of themselves. And so that's where I feel like I need to add value. I want to sort of invest my energy into that. Yeah. I do have, sort of business interests. It's not adding value, but it's things that interest me that are outside of medicine. So I certainly have other interests outside of medicine, and I'm exploring them all at the moment.
Right. Talking of faith, I know you're a person of faith, Christian, if I'm not mistaken. How is your faith interlinked to your profession? How does it help? And do you sometimes get ethically compromised between medicine and your faith?
I think my faith really, we were taught a lot in the Bible about helping people and showing them love and empathy and compassion and putting yourself in other people's feet. So I think a lot of that really does drive my day-to-day practice. Unfortunately, things can get quite political here in the UK, so you can't be You can't put your religion in people's faces at work, particularly your patients. So I tend not to discuss my religion at all with patients. What I do is I pray for them, and I don't go and do it in their face, but I go home and I say, but God, that lady in bed 17, please, just remember her, be with her. I pray for myself every day that I go into work, because I need God, to be able to make the right decisions at work, to be able to, to see the things that other people miss, and, to be able to impact people. I might just kindness, just smiling at someone, it can be quite telling of how you are as a person, and that can sway people as well in their beliefs at work. Sometimes if I have a patient who I can tell is religious, I try and connect them with the chaplains at church, at work. So I do my part in that sort of way. In terms of conflicts, there are things that are, practiced within medicine that perhaps don't particularly sit well with the Christian religion, and these are things like abortions and sort of, things like that. I guess that's probably the main one. And in those sort of situations, they are quite sensitive to people's religion. And so you're allowed to say to a patient, you know what, I know you want an abortion, but I'm sorry, I can't be the person to help you with this. What I can do is direct you to the right person who will be able to help you. And so you refer them to somebody else. So, there's always ways to deal with the conflict in a way that you're still supporting your patients, but also not going against your faith.
All right. Thank you. So welcome to those who have just joined us. Positive Vibes is the channel. Positive Vibes Community Youth Club. Welcome to everyone. We can see a lot of people logged on. Thank you. We really appreciate the love. There are a lot of jargon. You use a lot of jargon in medicine. How do you remember all those words? What's your trick?
I think once you start, right, you'll find that it's actually not that difficult at all. You learn 1 or 2, 3 words, and then you build on them. So it is a whole language to learn, but you will learn it slowly as you go. And once you understand the meaning of a certain word, it then becomes easier to integrate it into your day-to-day language and how you describe things in the medical field. I don't know. I don't have a trick. It just comes naturally. You will just learn it, just like a child learns Shona, or they learn English. Through medical school, you will learn all these different words, and they just stick with you. Once you understand what it means, then that's it.
All right. Okay, so yeah, because I've always wondered, that's what has prevented me from joining your profession. But
really?
I don't think I would last anyway, because I like to have too much fun, and it's a heavily regulated environment. So yeah, medicine is known for long hours. How do you cope with that, and what do you do to unwind?
So I'll start by saying, like, most people work 37.5 hours a week. That's what's normal for them. But we are actually contracted to work 48 hours a week. So we work slightly more than everybody else. And within that, there will be night shifts, there will be sometimes weekends. And how I cope with that is by sort of forward planning. Before the pandemic, I would plan out my holidays. I would know that in 2 months' time, I'm going to France for a few days, and then I'm going to go to Spain for a few days, or I'm going to go and visit this friend, and I book everything in my diary so I know what I'm doing and when, just to help me relax. But I also do a lot outside of work. Outside of the pandemic, I used to go and play basketball. I go to the gym. I do a lot of baking and cooking at home. And I'm also a Netflix junkie. So I do a lot of things that I enjoy outside of work. And that just helps me to clear my mind and to relax.
Maybe on that note, you may also tell us the latest you've been watching on Netflix. Please say it's Greenleaf.
Oh, yes, of course I watched Greenleaf. That's finished now.
I've watched
that. That's done.
So what have you been binge watching on? in case any young people are watching. And so because normally the reason why I'm asking this is that doctors, it's known, and forgive me, I'm just, it's known for being drab, you know what I'm saying? But seeing young people like you glamorizing it, right? Yeah.
I think doctors are just normal people. I'm just as normal as you are, and as everybody else. I enjoy watching TV just like everybody else. I enjoy, the things that everybody else enjoys. But in terms of what have I been binging on lately, okay, I'm outside of medicine. I'm particularly interested in property, and so I've watched a lot on Netflix that has to do with property. Some shows better than others, but I find those very interesting. I know you might look at it as, oh well, that's not exactly fun, is it? But it is. It's enjoyable. Okay, if you're just looking for just for fun, sort of watching. What have I been watching? Let me take a look, because I have a whole list on my phone of the
Okay,
things that I'm watching. I've watched that much. Homeland. It's a bit old now, but I absolutely love it. Don't tell people, but I do like The Handmaid's Tale. I really, really enjoy it. I think the storyline is fantastic. Most recently, I watched a series called For Life, which is on Amazon Prime. That is a really, really good series. Very, very interesting storyline. So I'm waiting for that, for the next season for that one. God, do you really want me to go through the list, because it is quite long?
I think we get the picture. You don't live a real and drab life. We get the picture. Right. I'm gonna go into a very, very serious topic here now, and I need your professional and measured response.
Okay.
So recently, there's been issues like the glass ceiling, Black Lives Matter, and there's been a drive in local institutions. We have had the Prime Minister champion it. What's your response to that? Have you seen any change? Is it any encouraging, or there is still scope for there's still room for improvement?
That is a hard question.
I know you do see
We'll
that one.
start by saying that, I think people like to portray a lot of the negative side, but sometimes they forget to mention the positive things as well. I will come up with a positive response that I personally do not feel that I've faced any racism at all in the workplace. I've had equal opportunities just like everybody else. If anything, I've probably thrived more than others because I've gone out there and I've taken the opportunities and I've rolled with them. So I think, whilst I think there's a lot of racism, yes, but there also are a lot of opportunities that we have as Black people. And for me personally, I don't allow that to influence the way that I present myself or the opportunities that I go for in the workplace. So has there been an improvement? Well, I don't know, because I'd never faced that much trouble in the first place. So it's a difficult question for me to answer in a professional context, because I haven't felt that I've been discriminated or deprived of anything, particularly because of my race.
All right, fair enough. And Emmanuel Muzia is asking, you said you're from Zimbabwe, if you're given an opportunity to or offered an opportunity to serve in Zimbabwe as either the Minister of Health or any other senior position, would you take up the offer?
I would love to. I would absolutely, absolutely love to take up the opportunity to do that. But the only caveat that I will put to that is I would want to do that in the context of a supportive government that is not out for its own interests, because I would want to make a difference. I don't want to go there and have a lot of red tape that's political. I don't want to end up being politicized in how I practice and the reforms that I bring. So if I did have the opportunity, I'd absolutely love that. I feel like there is so much that needs to change in Zimbabwe. There's so much inequalities in our access to healthcare, that I would love to be a champion that sort of pioneers a different way of life in that respect in Zimbabwe. So yes, I would. Absolutely, I would.
All right. So any secret
So if you know someone in government, okay, just let them know that I'm out here, I'm ready.
Right. Actually, thanks, Leo, for raising that question. Being from Zimbabwe, or should we say Africa, what's your take on African traditional medicine remedies vis-a-vis modern medicines? There seem to be movement promoting the latter in Zimbabwe.
I don't particularly have a problem with traditional remedies, but I think my issue comes with research, really, and really knowing the impact that these things have on our bodies. I know right now, for example, there's herbs and things that people are taking because they feel that they are helping with COVID symptoms. And that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you look at some of the modern medicines, actually, they came from plants, or they came from, some traditional things that were used in particular cultures. So there's nothing wrong with them. My only issue is when there isn't a lot of evidence as to how they're making a difference. And also, I have a problem with mixing the two, where you're mixing, sort of modern medicines with traditional medicines, because sometimes there's an interaction there where one is making the other more effective or less effective, or causing a new concoction that causes even more harm. So this is where my problem is. But outside of that, I don't really particularly have anything against traditional medicines. As long as they're doing what you hope for them to achieve and not causing any bodily harm.
I see. Thank you. So going back as well, like we said, this is Positive Vibes Community Youth Club Career Guidance Spotlight. What are the starting salaries for your profession?
All right, let me try and think 4 years ago. I think that, so if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I said you're on some serious money now. You've forgotten what you were earning 4 years ago.
So I will say this, that, if you want to make quick money, medicine is not for you. The starting salary is it's not great, but it is a career where there is a defined stepwise progression. So as you go up, what your salary is going to be going up to. You don't have to be fighting for a promotion or whatever, because your money is going to go up in that sort of way. And once you've finished your training, and mind you, training can be quite long. So the first 2 years of foundation training, and then you get into your specialty training, which can be anything between 3 and 8 years, during which, again, your salary is sort of going up slowly. But once you're a consultant, you obviously get your base salary and whatever extras and bonuses there are associated with that. But some specialties will have an opportunity for private work where you can make more money. So my starting salary when I was an F1, or in my foundation year training, I think it was around 35,000. Yeah, so that's what you'd expect in your sort of first year of working, round about that amount. But that amount it includes sort of a bonus for working night shifts and a bonus for working weekends and stuff like that. So depending on your role, if you're doing a job where you don't do night shifts and you're not expected to do weekends or late shifts, then your money might be a bit less than that. But for a person who's doing a normal job in a hospital, you're looking at around 35,000, 35,000, somewhere there.
And obviously, if you do more overtime and do some private work, you can also get paid more. So
in your first year, you're a little bit restricted in how much sort of locum work. We call it locum work, but other professions will call it bank work or freelancing, or I don't know how how best to describe it, but we call it locuming. So in the first year, you're a little bit restricted as to how much locum work you can do. But from the second year onwards, really the world is your oyster. You can locum as much as you want for, and the rates will differ from hospital to hospital. But it is very, very attractive money. And if you do that full time, which some people do after their foundation years, you can make quite a lot of money in quite a short period of time. But obviously that puts your training on hold. And so you'll then go back into training and go back onto a training salary. But just to encourage some people, I know 35,000, some people might be thinking, wow, that's nothing, but that's just in your first year of working. Most consultants will be earning over 100,000. And I do know some colleagues within hospital who are earning 180,000. I know some GPs that work, that earn 200,000. So, the world is your oyster. It depends on what you choose to do, which specialty you choose to do, how much work you decide to do, whether you're working private or working in the NHS and stuff like that. But there is a wide range there.
Wow, thank you. That's very informative and helpful intel. And Pamela Mtero is saying, great chat. And Hampton Chivasa is saying, you're going to have to take him out for lunch. So you've got yourself some offers there. Do you see yourself doing like a teaching role, lecturing, or retiring from medicine for that matter?
I mean, like I said earlier, I've got interests outside of medicine, and the beauty of GP particularly is that you can do a lot of flexible working. So my plan is to work part-time within medicine, and so 3 days a week in GP land, 1 day a week in hospital, and then 1 day a week pursuing my interests outside of medicine, so the property side of things. Do I see myself retiring? I really don't think so, because I love my job. I really, really enjoy it. And I think if I were away from that, I would feel like I'm losing out, FOMO, fear of missing out. So I'd want to be at work for as long as I can, until proper retirement age, when I will leave work and just sort of chill at home. What was your other question? Apart from retiring?
In terms of maybe career progression, do you see yourself in a teaching role, maybe university lecturing?
Oh, right. So yeah, within medicine, there's loads and loads and loads of opportunities to teach. In fact, from the moment I graduated and I was starting as a doctor, they were asking us to come back and do some group learning with medical students. So teaching role, I'm already involved in teaching at the moment. We have medical students assigned to our wards, sort of all the time. So they come and they see patients with us. We teach them sort of on a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 basis on the wards. But in terms of lecturing, I hope to do that in the future, yeah, but not full time. Maybe sort of as a guest lecturer at some university. I wouldn't mind that at all.
All right. Oh, thank you. So if you're joining us, you're wondering what's happening, Positive Vibes, we're celebrating Black excellence, and who better to represent than one of our own, Dr. Rue, in the house, training to be a GP. You have spoken to us what a typical day looks like. You've talked about the wages, other aspects such as, progression and whatnot. So now we just want to finish on this note. Obviously, we are still in the middle of a deadly pandemic. How have you been coping on the front line yourself?
I guess to me,
mind we stopped clapping for you.
I mean, it was nice, in the first wave, I could go to a shop. I didn't have to wait in a queue. I'd just go straight in, do my shopping. That was great. But anyway, that's over now. At first, it was difficult, to be quite honest. It's normal, I guess, to be fearful of the unknown, because it's like, this is new. What's going to happen to me when I'm treating patients with COVID? So at first, there was a lot of fear. And just that uncertainty. But now, to be quite honest, it's become so normal working in environments with COVID that it's just a normal working day. Like, I don't even wake up stressed or distressed in any way. It's just like, well, I'm going to work, and that's that. So I guess I've been coping okay. It's been a year now, hasn't it? So, I think that first difficult period has been and gone, and we've just settled into the role, and we're just doing what we need to do and trying to protect ourselves as best as we can. I hope I've answered that question.
No,
I can't even
it's
remember
fine.
what you asked.
Obviously, your welfare is important, and
Yeah.
research is showing that Black people or BAME are more prone to developing COVID or COVID-related illnesses. So obviously, we had to start with you. What would you advise young people there that are stuck in homes, that want to go out to party and stuff like that? What would you say from a medical perspective?
I mean, to be honest, this breaks my heart. Like, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Snapchat, and I see people, sort of doing these underground parties and things. It really does break my heart because I think COVID is real. I have seen people at the brink of death, and in fact, I've seen some people dying from it. I've looked after patients that have been very unwell with COVID. So my advice would be, you know what? It's a season and it will pass. But in the meantime, protect yourself and protect your families, because the last thing you want is to live with that guilt of, was it because of me? Was it because I went to that party? Could I have done things differently? You don't want that. Guilt can really, really corrode your life, and it can destroy it. So protect yourself and protect your family. Stay at home. Just follow the government guidelines. Don't go to parties because we're not supposed to be going to parties. Just follow the guidelines. They're there to protect you and to protect your loved ones. It's not meant to, sort of keep you locked up at home or to punish you in any way. But we are more vulnerable, like you've said, as ethnic minorities. And the last thing you want really is to have your own relative struggling, battling to keep their life in hospital because you decided to go for a party. So please just refrain from it. Let's look after ourselves and our families. That's what I would say.
Okay, thank you. And I've got here Cornelius Kachere. Welcome, sir. The question is, have you had the vaccine yet? Would you encourage or advise young people to take it?
Okay, so I had my vaccine in February. So I'm actually due my second dose next month. So yes, I've had the vaccine and I've been absolutely fine. I know there's a lot, people are saying a lot of things, and there's a lot of fear mongering on social media, but I'm absolutely fine. I haven't grown a sixth toe or a second nose or a third eye. I'm still fine. I'm still exactly the way I was last year. I'm absolutely fine. All I had in the way of side effects was just a little bit of pain where I had the injection. And I was a bit tired on the day, but literally that was it. I've had no other side effects at all. Would I encourage other young people to take it? Yes, absolutely. I'm craving a normal life, like just being able to go to the shops without wearing a mask on my face, being able to go on holiday again. It would be nice to get to a point where we can have a normal life again. And the only way we can do that is through vaccination. So the more people that we vaccinate, the less COVID cases that we'll have, and life can get back to normal. And I know people have a lot of concerns about loads of things that have been said on social media, and there's videos and there's a lot of information and resources out there to try and address all those concerns and those myths. And if you are someone who's got a specific question about the vaccine, please feel free to reach out to me. I would be very, very happy to talk to you about, any aspects relating to the vaccines. But yes, I would definitely encourage people to go out and get it. Of course, if you're in a special group where perhaps you are pregnant or you are breastfeeding, then please speak to your own GP first before going out to get the vaccine, just to make sure you're doing the right thing for yourself and your unborn child at the time. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Oh, thank you for that awareness. Like you rightly say, this is for a season and we will cross the bridge together. It's been fun hanging out with you, Dr. Rue, on this platform. Hopefully, we have touched a few souls and young people are going to be inspired if ever they are considering a career in medicine. And any parting shots, any words of advice out there as we conclude?
Words of advice is, guys, you will not regret doing medicine. You will not regret going to medical school. You will have lifelong learning, yes, but you'll also have a very comfortable life and loads of opportunities. Like, as a doctor, you will never be out of work. You know, some people finish university and they're like, oh, I've been looking for a job. They're looking for a professional job for a year or for a year and a half. That will not happen. I can categorically tell you now, it will not happen within medicine. The minute you are done and the minute you've graduated, there are loads of jobs that are just waiting to have you, basically. And not only are you employable within this country, but there's opportunities outside of the UK, and it's very, very easy to go and work in those environments. I'll tell you this was one of my motivating factors. Don't tell anyone. I've got a colleague I was working with last year whose husband is a GP in Canada, and he was earning £50,000 a month. I kid you not. These are the sort of opportunities that are available for you once you've finished. If you want to, if you're all about the money, you know, which you shouldn't, hopefully not. But if you do want money, you know, there's opportunities here and abroad, and you will always be able to, you know, sort of move around and find a place that suits you. So yeah, join in, you know, let's save lives. Let's make a difference in our world, in our communities, in our families. You certainly won't regret it. And if you have any questions about medical school, about how to get into medical school, first of all, how to write the exams, how to study for them, how to write a personal statement, how to do these mini interviews, or if you have questions particularly about how to get through medical school, how to pass your exams or foundation training, anything, please, please, please get in touch with me. I'll be very, very happy to help.
Oh, thank you. And before you go, can we please have your handles? I'm sure there are lots of young people who would like to reach out to you for mentorship, some community clubs, one-on-one, church groups, community groups that may want your services to come and speak and add value. Your handles, please.
So how do I post them? So basically, you can contact me on Facebook. It's just Rutendo Ganyani, so first name, last name. On Instagram, I believe it's Ruegan, so that's RUEGAN. That's how you find me on Instagram. You can also email me, so rutendoganyani@hotmail.com. Yes, I am still using Hotmail. I've been told off about this, but yes, I'm still using it. I'm very happy using it. Thank you very much. So rutendoganyani@hotmail.com. So that's it, really, guys. Get in touch. Or you can also, of course, talk to Mr. McDonald. He knows how to get a hold of me if you haven't managed to get any of those details. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So that was Positive Vibes Community Youth Club. Please do check out our YouTube page, our Facebook page. We strive to unlock value, promote good citizenship, and celebrate Black excellence. That's all we do. If you're a young person, you're making waves in the community, music industry, creative arts, anything that you're doing that's worth profiling and celebrating, please do reach out so we can give you the platform and celebrate with you. Thank you. Enjoy what's left of your day. Stay safe. Remember to mask up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye.